In neurolinguistic programming, we ask people to think intuitively, don't we? And we do that with parts work. Everyone here knows what parts work is. Anyone not know? Okay. We elicit strategies. People are not aware of their strategies when they come to us, but we help them to reveal their strategies so that they can understand their strategies. And we help them to uncover their unacknowledged beliefs, values, and meanings. Yes?
Swedish here. Could you give me a little parts work, please?
Okay, parts work comes from a field of psychotherapy called ego state therapy, and it essentially means that while all of us seem to be a unified personality, we're really made up of little sub-personalities. All these little parts of ourselves that operate behind the scenes, that we are not consciously aware of. So parts work helps people to bring these sub-personalities into conscious awareness so that we can understand them, and we can know their motives, their agendas, and we can even negotiate with them. Okay. But how well do we, as practitioners, understand our terminology? For example, what is intuition anyway? And how do we access it? Is it just something that happens randomly? What is the unconscious mind? Now, what is consciousness and how do we direct it? These questions will lead us back to the implications of consciousness research. So let's start out with that first question. What is intuition? Well, it's understandings and ideas that we seem to acquire spontaneously without any logical or analytical process. Sometimes intuition is not something that we really know in terms of a complete idea. It's more like an impression that we get. And it seems to emerge from a source of which we are not consciously aware. You might remember if you were in Art Geiser's seminar earlier this afternoon, he said it's your inner spirit and your inner wisdom that guides you. So how do we experience intuition? These are all, to me, kinds of intuition. Hunches. I think our dreams are highly intuitive. Finding meaning in coincidences. We notice two things that happen at the same time and we say, oh, I know what that means. It's a synchronicity. Creativity. Sometimes intuition just comes to us as a sudden insight. We say, oh, man, it all comes together for me now. I get it. And in NLP speak, we have visual and auditory representations that seem to occur very spontaneously, and they're often symbolic or metaphoric. Sometimes intuition is not so much a thought as a feeling, a sensation in the body. And sometimes it's an automatic directing of attention. And I bet most of you have probably experienced that. I'll tell you one way that I sometimes experience that is where I've misplaced some small household object and I cannot find it anywhere and I search for days. And then I get distracted by other things and I forget all about it. And then I'll be somewhere in the house and something will say, oh, look here. Look in this drawer or look on this countertop. And sure enough, there it is. After I've stopped looking for it, something leads me to it. Have you had that experience? Maybe something similar? So how do we access intuition? Well, mostly when we quiet the mind, so that the mind reaches those optimum frequencies. And that happens in contemplation and meditation, sometimes with journaling and self-reflection. Some people believe that they receive spiritual guidance, whether from a wider spirit or from individual spirit guides. Sometimes we just notice coincidences and synchronicities. We can access intuition sometimes by interpreting our dreams. Some people believe that dreams contain useful information. And sometimes in hypnotic states where we visualize symbols, where we have metaphors. Now, one thing that I do in my practice, I work with wisdom figures. Do any of you work with wisdom figures? So here are some keys to success with intuition. First, keep your mind open and receptive, non-judgmental and curious. Trust your feelings and your inner representations. Flow with the experience. Let it emerge spontaneously rather than directing it. Some of the sources that I consulted about intuition said it's good to keep a journal so that you notice consistencies and patterns. You begin to understand the meaning of symbols. Intuition can happen all at once, or it can happen incrementally over several days. And you might be led to an answer. Maybe you've had this experience, like I have, where I pose a question and I'm seeking an intuitive answer and I don't get anything. And then within the next few days, I'm led to pick up a particular book or to watch a particular television program, or maybe I overhear a conversation and the answer seems to be provided for me. Have any of you ever had that kind of experience? Some people are nodding. Some people way at the back of the room. Yeah. So, how can we use this information? Well, I believe that as an NLP practitioners, we can communicate more clearly about how we elicit intuitive processes from people. We can help our clients understand the nature of intuitive processes. We can understand that in communication, even if we are saying one thing, if our intentions say something else, it could still influence how we interact, how we affect a client. Even the intention that you have may carry either a positive or negative influence. And with improved intuitive abilities ourselves, we might have access to a wider range of knowing, creativity, guidance, understanding, empathy for others. So I'd like you to get a chance to move around for a minute and do something on your own. This is something that I developed in my practice, and it's a way of accessing, I believe, the individual unconscious mind for some intuitive guidance. And here are the steps, and then I'll go over those steps with you, and then I'd like you to break into pairs and do this process with each other. You can do it in like 5 to 10 minutes, very easy. First, ask your partner to pose a question. Now, the types of questions that are best for intuitive guidance are open-ended questions, and they're not predictive questions like psychic abilities. It's not going to be, will my football team win the championship? It's not like that. It's more like how questions. How can I facilitate my healing? How can I improve this particular difficult relationship? What is the next step in my personal growth? What is a good next step in developing my business? Things like that. How can I improve my income? How can I improve my relationships? Those are good intuitive questions. And then I would say to my partner, close your eyes, relax, maybe take a deep breath, get comfortable in your chair, and ask your unconscious mind to choose a memory that offers an insight or an answer to your question. And keep your mind open and curious. Let the answer emerge spontaneously. And here's how you're going to do it. Let your unconscious mind offer you a memory. And just let whatever memory comes to the surface, just allow it to be there and review that memory. And when you have reviewed that memory, nod your head so that the operator will know that you've had that opportunity. And then your operator will say, bring your attention back to the here and now and appreciate that your unconscious mind presented this memory to you in response to your question. I always think it's a good idea to appreciate the unconscious mind, to send feelings of gratitude to the body. I think it makes the unconscious mind more available. Now, open your eyes and ask, how does this memory relate to your concern? What is the message in the memory? And then anticipate how you might use this message, how you might use this information, and discuss it with your partner. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay, so I'd like all of you to get into pairs, and I'm going to give you, let's see, we started. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to do that. Okay, find a partner. Anyone want to share what you experienced? Yes?
I absolutely adore this kind of exercise.
Okay, thank you. She said she absolutely adores this kind of exercise where you go into it absolutely not knowing what's going to happen. Did something happen for you? Yes, yes. Do you want to talk about it or not? Or if it's private, don't talk about it. But
Well, I can say as much as that I found that I wanted to approach my issue in a more playful
okay,
manner and not as taking the stakes out of it.
all right. Okay, so her message was to approach her concern or her issue in a playful manner. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? No? Yes?
I got a bit impatient with myself because I went through the process and nothing was coming. So my partner's very patient, so just said, take as long as you need, relax. And then I've never had an illness, so I asked the question that you suggested, how can I improve my illness?
How can I facilitate healing?
Exactly. And kind of the answer came, well, the memory came, and it kind of gave me 3 or 4 different answers. So it was like, it might take a bit longer, but actually you get a bit more. So
Okay, good. She, in case you didn't hear, she said, and for the sake of the camera back there, she said that at first nothing happened, but she took a little bit more time. She asked how could she facilitate healing, and then she received 4 answers. And it's been a pleasure talking with all of you today.